You're watching Your Turn. If it matters to you, it's important to us.
A couple of the biggest news stories of the past few months have involved the complex intersection of race and religion. Barack Obama has been dealing with a heated debate over his connection to Reverend Jeremiah Wright. Those videotaped sermons have been played over and over on the news channels, talked about in the blogs. Two USF students, both Muslim, headed for trial on charges of transporting explosives. Today, a discussion with your phone calls and questions about this topic, how the media is covering such stories. Is the media just doing its job? Is it revealing truths Americans need to know in order to make informed decisions? Or is the media exploiting these stories based on prejudice to play on people's fears? Joining us with this panel today, Eric Deggans, president of the Tampa Bay Association of Black Journalists. He's also the media critic for the St. Petersburg Times. Ahmed Bedier, a civil rights activist and president of the Tampa Hillsborough Human Rights Council. And Pastor Rick Rollins, minister of the Breath of Life Fellowship. He's also a former television producer and on-air personality. So welcome all. This very interesting topic today. Eric Deggans, you blog about this all the time. These are the two things you're not supposed to talk about at cocktail parties, right? You never bring up race, you never bring up religion, and here you are saying, let's just throw ourselves into it. What's the biggest issue you see?
We're going to be discussing this at 7 p.m. on Thursday at the Hillsborough Community College student auditorium there. We brought together the Hillsborough NAACP, the Tampa Bay Association of Black Journalists, the Human Rights Council, and the Council on American Islamic Relations, because we wanted to find a way to talk about these issues that kind of affect all of our constituent groups, all of the people who are members of our groups. And I think everybody's concerned about how the media is covering race, particularly regarding Barack Obama's candidacy and the fight for the Democratic nomination between him and Hillary Clinton. And they're concerned about how religion is being covered because of terrorism and religion and all these things have kind of got wrapped up. And then we've also seen these controversies over pastors, Jeremiah Wright, Pastor Hagee, people who are, Rob Parsley, people who are delivering endorsements for all three political candidates this season.
Anytime the word Islam, ever since 9/11, has been covered, it's always been covered in a negative way. It's playing a major role in the presidential debates. Oftentimes, each president is trying to tell us what Muslims feel and what they want, what's good for them, as if they're going to define the religion for the Muslim community. And even when it comes to Barack Obama, everybody knows that the lie that he's a Muslim is a complete, false attack on him, and it's a rumor. And I think part of the vindication or the positive thing from the Jeremiah Wright is people now know that he has an actual Christian pastor, and he's definitely attends church, so he's not a Muslim. But so what if he's Muslim? That's an underlining problem. So what? He's not running to be imam or pastor or rabbi for our country. He's running to be the president. So what if he's Muslim? And I think that's one of the things that the media doesn't, go into.
That's interesting because it does persist. It just persists, especially on the internet and all the blogs. We daily get things about, he's a Muslim, as if that's a bad thing. And so that is the underlying piece of it. That's the underlying message. He could be Muslim. His middle name is Hussein, so therefore.
And that plays on to what we think is a new form of racism. A lot of times people say, well, no, that's religion. We can attack and criticize religion all we want. But when it comes to certain religions, especially minority religions, we feel like in this day and age, anti-religious sentiments is a new form of racism in America. And it's, rather than attack somebody's race or culture or ethnicity, well, I can attack their religion. It's the same thing, especially when it comes to Islam and how it's used and misused in today's world.
But don't you think during the Bush administration, the issue of religion became openly talked about, and people wore their religion as now everyone is trying to be religious to be accepted in the public eye.
Certain kinds of religion got talked about, and other kinds of religions got demonized, and I think that's the problem. I don't know that the problem with Barack Obama's rumors about being a Muslim have much to do with the media, because the media has consistently said that he's Christian. The problem is that there are a lot of people out there who have doubts about Obama that may not really be rooted in the facts of his life. And they're sort of grabbing on to these weird rumors, you know, that he insisted on being sworn in on a copy of the Quran, that he is a Muslim, that he was educated in a madrasa. I mean, that was reported on Fox News and had to be debunked. And as Ahmed said, you know, number one, it doesn't matter that what if he was a Muslim, but he's not, and people are using that to sort of bring in all these questions about aspersions on his character, as if his choice of religion would indicate that he somehow was a threat to.
Okay, let me ask this question though, because for the person who is going to be in the White House, does the media not have a right to scrutinize who they are surrounded by, and who they are influenced by?
They should, but you know, we have a tradition in this country. No one is guilty by association. Just because somebody knows somebody that says some horrible things, we know people within our own families that may say horrible things. Doesn't mean that we necessarily agree with them and we have to condemn to death.
But that's not the reality. The reality is that voters on exit polls say that Barack Obama's connection to Reverend Wright does make a difference to them, in the same way that John McCain's connection to President Bush makes a difference to them. You are judged.
I think, like there was being said earlier, so many people are looking for excuses to come hard down on a black potential, you know, president, trying to find any type of faults in this person. When he has such excellent character, you can't find flaws in his background, so you're gonna have to find flaws in other people around him. And we saw in some of the business investors that were around him and other people. I think they're just trying to find something on Barack Obama.
And read Jeremiah's, you know, entire speech before and after the incendiary comments and all, and you really have to do that to see the context. That being said, you know, I saw where he was going, and it is a line of thinking that a lot of mainstream religious people wouldn't be able to follow even if they read the whole thing. They would.
Because I mean, see, in America, people avoid the race issue altogether and try to use political correctness while there is already existing, you know, real separation and problems when it comes to race relations in this country. It's not as rosy as everybody would have you believe. And I think one of the things that the Jeremiah issue brought up, and that the media, by hyping it up in a sense, brought up, is this discussion about race. If it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be having this discussion here, and we wouldn't have this excellent speech that Barack Obama did about the perfect union, tackling the issue head on rather than avoiding it. And I think it says a lot about his character. Was it not good that he revealed the race fissures in our country and said, we need to talk about them
I think it's important. Go ahead. Well, I was just going to say, the thing about Obama is that he did have to be pushed into making that speech. When he made it, it was great, but he had to be pushed into making it. And since that speech, he hasn't talked a lot about it. Frankly, you know, Barack Obama's strategy is to try to not be seen as the black candidate and try to not be seen as a candidate of color. You know, he talks about it when he has to, but he really wants voters to see him more as a man and not so much as a black man. And so I've been telling people for a long time that I think Obama is not going to be the kind of elected official of color that we're used to seeing, where you know, folks are wearing their racial identities on their sleeve.
Like
he's not going to do that.
Jackson,
he's not going to be, or not even an Andrew Young, or you know, guys who've actually been elected to, guys who've been actually elected to office. I mean, you know, Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton have not been elected to anything.
That's why he's gotten this far and is doing so well as far as the elections and the primaries, is because he's not playing the victim card. He's not running on this victimhood and other things that you know, dissatisfies voters. Whereas now, when you see Hillary Clinton is using the sexism, and it's actually working against her when she starts playing this issue, well, it's a gender thing and people are against me because of my gender. People don't buy that, and when you start playing the victim card, people lose respect for you, and your popularity goes down.
Okay, two things to take up when we come back. You know, a lot of people have said that they feel like the media has treated Barack Obama lightly compared to Hillary Clinton. Just a minute. We'll let you talk when we come back.
Is if John McCain had let's say a church member that leaned more towards supremacy.
Well, no, he does.
He does. Two of the most fundamental passages. And one of them, Rod Parsley, said way worse things. He said that America was founded in part to destroy Islam. How crazy can you be? And this person endorsed McCain, and for a long time, you know, nobody's dissecting Rod Parsley like they did to Jeremiah Wright, when a lot of the messages of Rod Parsley are even more hateful and more, you know, just crazy.
I think one of the things we we did find is that people are a little more accepting of this extremism when it comes from Christian fundamentalists.
Evangelicals.
And, evangelicals. And unfortunately,
we gotta
they're a
go.
little more
Sorry,
critical.
Eric.
Okay.
Gotta take a break, sorry. Back in a moment.